Hey guys, today I'll be going through some bash commands just because we'll be using them in the later videos, so I figure it's nice to have a bit of a run through. So let's get started. So the first command, which most of you probably already know, is the ls, which I call list stuff. I don't know if that's the formal name, but if you type that, it just lists all the files and folders that are in the directory that you're currently in. You can also obviously add different commands. ls-a also lists hidden files that are there. So example, these sorts of files which you wouldn't normally see. So if you opened the folder on your directory in your computer, you wouldn't see the ones that were listed with the dot in front of them. You just see all the normal folders which come down the bottom. The next one is change directory, which is cd. So say I want to change into my documents folder, I just go cd and then tab complete documents and then enter. Now I can ls here and I see the things that come up in this folder. If I want to go back to the previous folder, I can just use cd ... and that moves me back one folder. The next three commands are also to do with documents and stuff. So pwd means print working directory. So you can see I'm in my root folder there, which is where you automatically are when you open up your terminal. If I change directory, so cd into my documents, and then I type pwd, it'll be the entire path, so /users, /arion, /documents. If I wanted to make a directory here, what I could type was mkdir, which is short for make directory, and I'm going to go video example. Now I can cd into that video example, and I can cd ... back. So I could copy video example into a new folder. So for a directory, it's cp-r video example, and I'm gonna move it back into the previous directory. So I'm gonna put a copy of video example into my home directory. Now I can cd ... and if I ls, I should see video example, the folder in here. The next three are also very simple. So let's go into my documents folder and into video example. So cd documents /video example. Touch just lets me create a file. So I'm going to touch, let's ls to show that there's nothing in this folder. Now I'm going to go touch example.txt. Now if I ls, I see example.txt is here. However, it's got nothing in it because I just created an empty file. So to add stuff, I can use the default editor, which is Vim. So this is useful to know how to use Vim since it's on most servers. At least you should know how to exit and enter Vim and create text. So let's go vim example.txt. To insert text into Vim, just press I on your keyboard. So and then down the bottom, you'll see it changes to insert here. Now I can write whatever I want in here. So writing, I'm not very good at spelling. Writing things, learning is fun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, end of file. So now to exit, I press the escape button and see how that insert goes away. Then I press :W for write. If I didn't want to write the file, I would just do Q and then quit. So I'm basically saying, save the stuff that I've done or write it to the file and then quit. Enter. So now we could vim example.txt and there's stuff in it. So now we're going escape :WQ to leave it. We're going to use the copy command. So let's go copy example.txt into a new file. See how this time I don't need to put the -R there because I'm not copying a directory. I'm just copying a single file. Now we can verify that that's copied. We can read that all the contents of example was copied. Perfect. :WQ. And then we can also delete it. We decided we don't actually want example copy anymore. ls. So rm removes a file. And basically, you can only remove a file which you have write privileges on, and you'll by default have write privileges on any file that you create. With rm, it doesn't go to your rubbish bin, so only use it if you actually know that you want to remove the file. So, and you can see what privileges you have if you do ls-l in the folder. So I've got read-write privileges because I'm the owner. The group, which comes next, only has write privileges on this file, and so does everyone else. So the way that you read this is owner, group, and then everyone. And this little one is the execute privileges. You can read more about privileges, I guess, online if you're interested. They're very useful. So some file commands that we can do with example.txt. We could read the top of that file. So we could just type head example.txt, and it gives you the first 10 lines. So the first two, and then I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We could also just show the first 2 lines or the first 3 lines by doing -3. So writing is fun, writing things, learning is fun, etc. We'd also look at the end of the file. So similarly, it does by default 10 lines, but we could also just do the last line, for example. And this is useful if you just want to get one line that you know what it is in a file. So we could also move this file if we wanted to. So say we no longer want it in this folder, we wanted to put it back into our previous directory, which is just documents. So let's just move it there. Oh, whoops. Useful thing is if you accidentally forget to put in all the commands. For example, I forgot to actually put in the file that I wanted to move. Usually it'll tell you what you're doing wrong. So now if I ls here, I've no longer got example there, but if I ls here, I should have example.txt. And we can double check that that is correct. And it is. So since I wanted to exit without writing anything, I just pressed escape, :Q, ! Okay, the next 3 are just for making the terminal easier to navigate. So I use this first one all the time. So history, it just gives you a history of everything you've just written. So these were all my previous commands. And that's really useful if you've written a command and you can't remember what it is. If I want my terminal to be a bit neater and go back up to the top, you can type clear. I also really like this one because I don't like clutter. And grep. So you can, for example, read the contents of a file. Example. Oh, I always forget to do this. So grep will search your whole computer by default. So we want to just grep in the current folder. And it'll print out the entire file. And if you notice, it highlights it in red whenever you're grepping things, which is kind of useful. So we're going to put a couple of the commands together. So we've used grep here to read out the contents of example.txt. But say, for example, I wanted to read the stuff in this folder and see if I had that file here. So I could do ls, then I could pipe the output of that command into grep, and then search for the string example. If I enter, what I'm going to see is I've got example.txt, the file that we just had, student example, and video example. Got a couple examples in here. So basically what this pipe command does, it means put the contents of the first command into the next command. It's really useful. So say, for example, I wanted to use it on the history command, and I wanted to remember what the parameters for head were. So I type pipe history pipe grep head, and it gets me these ones and a bunch of other things that I've written in the past as well. So super useful, powerful commands. Redirect is usually used for files. So piping is used for when you've got one command to the next command. Redirecting is used to move the output into, for example, a file. So say I wanted to, I'm going to go into my student example so I don't, video example is what we called this one, so that I don't mess up my documents folder. So say I want to do ls, list what's in here. I'm going to redirect that into a file now. So I'm going to call this ls.txt. So if we now open up ls.txt, we can see that all it's got is that one file in there, which is what we actually created. So that's pretty funny. We could also put our history. Say, for example, we wanted to remember the really cool commands that someone showed us in a video. we could do history, redirect history, video.text. So this is going to be all your history. So see how rather than printing it out, it's now redirected the output into this file. So if we go vim history video.text, it'll have all the history. So you can remember that for future situations, which is really useful. And now if you forget any of the commands that I've been talking about, you can use the man command to help you know what to do. So for example, if you wanted to know what parameters you could put into the history command, because most of these commands that I've showed you today have multiple parameters to make them easier to use. So you could go man history, and it basically gives you a description of everything that you can do with this. It's super useful. To exit, you just press Q. You could do man ls, and all these sorts of different things. So anyways, that's really helpful. There's tons of other reading you can do, even on the first page of Google. There's cheat sheets and all that, but I guess the best way to get better and more familiar with it is just by doing it. And remembering a couple of the key commands like history and grep are really useful. Up next, I'll be showing you guys how to set up some virtual environments in Python, mainly using Conda. Well, only using Conda. So until then.